Alright, I am back down in Missouri. Got my tool trailer. My dad went and picked up all this lumber. So this is going to be part 2 of this deck build. So my goal today is to get the post and beam all up, get all of the joists put in, hopefully get majority of the just framing done. So we'll see how that goes. I got to get the trailer and truck around the back side of the house, and then we will mark out our perma columns. We got to find the highest one, figure out how low the other ones are compared to it, get lengths for our posts, get them cut, get them stood up. So let's go ahead and get going. Alright, we got the truck and trailer backed around here. I almost got stuck. They've been in a drought here, and then in the last week they've gotten 3 inches of rain. Of course, perfect timing for me to get my truck and trailer down here. But I'm going to get my laser out. We're going to shoot all these columns, figure out what the height of our posts are going to be, and then we're going to get those cut, and we're going to start putting that beam up. So hopefully I can get most of this framed up today. I'm not sure if that's too much of an expectation, but I think that I can get that done. So we're going to get after it and see if we can't get this thing framed up today. Alright, so step 1 here in framing this up is complete, and that's to get all of your columns or posts, whatever you're using, figured out. So I have 6x6 perma columns in the ground, so I got to figure out what the height of those are. So I found my highest one. I have 2 that are actually the same. And then I wrote on the other ones how much I need to add to that post to get it to where I want it. Now, if you can see back here, right there, I got to determine that height and find the difference between that and my highest pier. The difference between right there, where my header is going to sit, and that column right there is 97 3/4. So this is going to be a post and beam type header system. So I'm going to have a post and then I have a beam going across the top. So I have to take 97 3/4 minus 5.5, and that is the starting of all of my posts. So 2 of those posts can get cut at that dimension, and then I have to add whatever is written on these piers to the other ones to get them to that point. So that one's 0, and the far one is 0. And then you can see this one is low 5/16, so I have plus 5/16. That means I got to bring it up. This one is a 1/16, and this one is 3/8. So now that I have those, I can get all of my columns down here, some sawhorses, get them all marked out, cut, and then we can get those all set in place, plumbed, screwed in, and then we can start setting our beam. Alright, we have all of our posts set. We got our first beam measured out, cut. Some dad's bringing it in with the forks. This is super handy to have forks to lift these up. You can do it with a couple people, but it is a little bit more dangerous. So we're just going to use the forks, get this baby set in place. Alright, we're all the way across. We got our posts in, starting across on our beam. We have to bring the beam across to here. So I have to put this dry set on this wall. We got the edge of our column marked here, so gonna get that set and get this put in. And then we can put a stub column right here, I guess is what I'm gonna call it. It's only gonna be a short one. I might have to cut the top of this off, I'm not sure. Depends on where we land. We might be lucky. It might be right there. We'll see. Alright, we got this bracket drilled in without cracking anything. Looks good. I just have it in here loosely, but I have to figure out how high to make a little stub column here. So, brought my laser up here. I'm going to zero it out on the top of that post, and then bring it over here, mark that, and then I'll get my measurement for my little stub column. What do you think the chances of that? That's perfectly 5.5, or will be 5.5 to the top of that. So we need a stub column, 5 3/4, and then we're gonna have to cut this off. I mean, we might not have to cut it off depending on where those land. But these holes are going to be too high. This one might just catch the top. We might have to drill new holes. So 5 3/4. 5 3/4. We got to cut one.
In one of these posts.
Yeah, one of those leftovers. We'll cut it 5 3/4. Put it in there. Screw it in. See behind me we have the whole post and beam up, so now we can start laying out our joists, and we're gonna have 3 different picture frames on there, so I gotta kind of calculate where I have to have double joists so that I have plenty of room to nail or screw on my deck boards. So we're gonna start working on that now. I have this plumbed this way. And then as we put our joists on, I'll plumb it and make sure it's good the other way. So went pretty good. Didn't take us all that long, and we should hopefully have most of these joists up by the end of the day. So our joists will be hangered on this ledger board, and then they will sit over the top and rest on this over here. And they'll hang out about 1 foot. Alright, so we're going to start doing our joists, and we have a post and beam over here, so we have a bunch of the joists stacked up. There is going to be some variance in them, so what we're going to do is we're going to clamp them together, plane them so they're all perfectly smooth. There was one that was like 1/4 inch wider and one that was 1/4 inch lower, so we pulled those out. We'll use those for blocking. And once we get a handful of these done, we'll prepare our end for our picture frame, and then we'll measure over and get our next picture frame ready, and then we can hang our deck rail system, which I'll show you. Somebody reached out to me, said, hey, do you want to use these? These are prototypes. It's like they're Gen 2. They're coming out with a Generation 3. That'll help us have a walkway on each side of the deck, and then a path to walk back and forth. So on higher decks, it basically brings your deck to waist high. so you're not working off a ladder. So we'll show you that when we get to it, but we're going to go ahead and plane these down, and so we can start putting some of these joists up. You can see right here, most of these aren't too bad, but you got a couple that are pretty high, so we'll plane all these, get them all, you know, within a 1/16 to an 1/8. Alright, so I clamped these together. Because treated lumber is never the same dimension, we just clamp a bunch together, plane them down, so you're going to end up with a nice flat surface for all your deck boards. So got to do this a few times and then start putting them up. Alright, so here is the same set of boards after I planed, so you can see a lot better. And if you're asking yourself, why would I have to do this on the header portion, and you actually wouldn't because you're lining the top of the board up here, but we're doing a post and beam over here, so it will 100% matter over here. So I'm just doing the whole board to make it nice and clean. Alright, well, as usual, haven't moved along as fast as I've wanted to. Got the kids here with me, so, you know, of course, they need my undivided attention when we're trying to get something done, but we are making progress. You can see we are laying floor joists. These here are called Joist Runners. Jared from Taylor Construction out of Wisconsin saw that I was doing a deck. These are his personal set. So he drove them down to me and said, I got to try them. These are Gen 2s. They're coming out with a Gen 3. You hook them to a 2x10 or 2x12 joist, then you can run your planks across. So you can see I have a set here with a plank, set there with the plank, and then you can have one go through the middle. So do a joist down there, do a joist over here, put these up, and then you can run all your middle ones from up above, which makes life a little easier. So I got this first section done, so I'm going to go ahead and put my blocking in. My dad's doing chores, so I'm going to cut blocking and get that all in, kind of stiffen that up, and then we'll continue on down. I got a third of it done. Took a long time to plane all these down to the same width, or depth I guess I should say, but it was necessary to do that if you want really good results. Alright, this first section of deck is about done. I'm kind of doing it in thirds. And put blocking in, just talking about a couple things. When you're doing your blocking, so in a perfect world, if you have 16 on center joists, your blocking should be 14.5 inches. The problem lies when you have treated boards. If there's any cupping in the boards, you can gain and grow as you go across. So you got to pay attention to that. Keep pulling 16s. to make sure you have to adjust your blocking just so you keep on that 16-inch center, which really doesn't matter, but you don't want to look under your deck and see that your floor joists have a curve to them. I want it to look good, so we keep pulling 16s. Secondly, my dad's up there putting joist tape across all the tops to protect it from water, where the decking will be across. We'll show you that here before this job is done. And the next thing I'm doing is we're picture framing this in 3 sections. So I have this figured out how long my blocks need to be, so I'm going to go ahead and screw all my blocks onto this joist, and then I'll put it up there and then screw it into the other joist. Alright, so you can see we have our joist tape over all this, that way that'll keep that from water sitting there and deteriorating this over time. One thing for those of you who've been to my channel, if I screw something up, I'm going to tell you, so you can hopefully avoid it. But I made a mistake when I was measuring, and I don't know what I did, but at the end of the day it ended up in a mistake. And this last joist, I have it too far that way, so I have to just pop it out down here and on this end and move it 1 3/8 so my 16 lands where it was. I just must have miscalculated where the end of my deck boards are going to be and where my picture frame is going to be. So not a huge mistake. I got to pull a few nails, scoot it down, nail it back in, and we'll be good to go. So I'm going to do that. Then we're going to put this other joist up that's going to hold our picture frame, and then we can keep on trucking. Alright, so this is one section, and then right here, our deck boards will end right there, and then we'll have 2 boards going this way. That'll be one side of the picture frame for here, and then another side of the picture frame for this section. And the reason I had to do a double board is because the length of this deck is like 39 feet, so I couldn't get away with a single, so I'm doing a double right here. And then our 12-foot boards, one will land right on there, and then we'll have 2 going this way, and then another one will start there and go to the end. So the decking my parents picked came in 12-foot lengths, so I had to figure out mathematically what would work, and that was 3 sections with a double picture frame in the middle. So that's what we're doing. So I got this one up. Now I can move my Joist Runners to there and to here, and then we can knock all these out pretty quickly. Got them all marked out. Got them all ready to go. So just a matter of flipping them up there and nailing them in. Alright, so one thing I wanted to talk about, the guy that I got the Joist Runners from also gave me the little metal plates that you see me attaching to the end of the joist. And what those are is he painted just short of 1.5 inches on each end, so you could line them up the end of your joist and set them on your ledger board. So essentially it's holding your joist perfectly level with your ledger, so you can just take your hanger, slide it up on, line it up, and get it nailed in place. And I'm telling you, that was amazing, just to be able to hang that up there and not have to hold it in place and try to make sure it was level. We are 2/3 of the way done with all the joists, blocking, tape on the top, and I can tell you right now, these Joist Runners, that's what those are called with the plank system, is a lifesaver. you can see how far we have that spanned out. I mean, we're covering like 12, 13 feet, which is really nice. You could always put your tape on before you put your joists up, but we put it all on up from there. So I was able to use those to nail all my joists off in the brackets, to put all my blocking in, tape everything off. So now we're to this last section. I have all of the joists ready to go. They're on the tractor here. These are also stellar, and you could accomplish the same thing with like a 2x4 just screwed to the top. But to be able to just slide this over your ledger board and know that it's going to hold it right where it needs to be is great. And then I think what I'm going to do is just take these planks and I'm going to extend them over and set them on that concrete wall, so then I can get all of those joists put on, which should go, setting those joists will take me 10 minutes, and then it'll take me another hour and a half to nail them off, block them, and tape them. Alright guys, so Justin's telling me I have too much information in this video, so this is just going to be a framing one. Hopefully I showed you enough detail that if you're going to try to build a deck that you can accomplish that on your own. The next video in this series will be the decking and how we finish out that rim board at the end, and I'll explain why I left that out until I ran my decking. But as always, we appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, share us with your friends, and we'll catch you on the next video.